Let's bring up the chat. What do you reckon that Anthony Christian is the first on this week?
I'm not
Dave?
convinced now. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a Laura.
Okay. Okay, I'm waiting. Patiently waiting.
Yeah, I don't know why. My mind's gone there. That's what I feel like.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully someone turns up this week because I know we haven't been doing one for actually a couple of weeks now.
Has it been 2 weeks in a row? Oh yeah,
I believe so.
We were away in. It's Anthony.
There we go. Of course, he's there waiting patiently. Anthony, great to see you on the live. I hope all is well.
Yep.
Anyone else that's joined? Great to have you back. Let us know. Let's see. Let's have a little look. Today's special guest, the Phantom Climber.
You get to talk about third man syndrome.
Hey Matt, how you doing? I hope all is well. No, great. We got Stuart, we got Keita, we got Jerome, of course, Jim, and Evertrex on here as well. Wow. Okay, so someone from Evertrex watches, probably the Dillmeister.
Yeah, but no, I think they all have to. They're contracted to keep the numbers up.
Is that what it is?
That's it. Yeah, so we always get a minimum of like 10 people. That's the rules. But no, it's good to be back on another Tuesday tune-in.
Well, it's been a busy few weeks in the Evertrek world. Obviously myself and Dave have been off. Not quite a spooky summit, although it depends on what time of day you get there. But we were on Summit at Tubkal, one of the private Souks to Summit trip, which was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I will say there were some rather unsettling noises in camp.
They were, that's true. Actually, you had the that was John.
That was the flatulence, but there was also the fox. The fox, that was quite everyone. It was funny. Like one of the guys was like, I could hear the fox, and I thought, I'm not going to get up and go to the toilet yet. I was like, you're afraid of a fox for? But yeah, no, it was an awesome time. Actually, my favorite trip to Morocco yet.
Yeah, it was definitely second summit on Tubkal for me and you.
Yeah,
which was awesome, and lots of learns as well. A bit, very different to going in winter. Hey Sean, hey Gillian, how you doing? Ian, fresh from the altitude set this morning. 3 weeks to Aconcagua. Oh, mate, Ian.
3 weeks.
Hey Chris, how you doing? Charlie, Andy. Here we go. We got lots of Evertrekkers on today, which is brilliant. Talking about the altitude center, we had James. Again, absolutely great to see him. But he came and visited in the Brecon Beacons, Banner Bracaniog, this last weekend where we had the training weekend, which was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely really, really insightful stuff. Lots of the Evertrekkers got to have a go at the altitude mark just to get a little feel.
Yeah.
Some of them have been to altitude before, not everyone. So it was a little bit of insight for those who hadn't. And absolutely fantastic to have James talk about some of the science of altitude as well. He's top bloke as well.
It was one of my favorite things when we first hooked up and did a little presentation with James during the very first lockdown, probably within the first 2 weeks of it. And
that's right, yeah, of course.
I learned so much about altitude there, and it's really, really done an amazing thing for me, which was ever since then, I've not had any sort of fear of it. It's not the boogeyman that it seems to be. I know a lot of people, when we talk to them before they go on trips, their first question is, what happens if I get altitude, or what can I do to help the altitude? And it does become a little bit of a boogeyman that they're a little bit afraid of. But actually, when you learn a little bit, see, I'm getting them in there.
Mate, I like it.
But knowledge dispels fear. You know, altitude doesn't have to be spooky or scary. It's just it's something that can be managed. And so I highly recommend going to the altitude center. It's a great place to train. But even if you go there for the information and you're not able to go there regularly to train, the information you'll get on one visit is amazing. Just know it's Marky Visa all the way from Namche.
Big shout out. If they can only read the comments, they can't see us. I'll put hey to Mark. I'm literally typing as we speak in Namche. Literally, sorry, Dave.
What can I say to Mark to try and trip up the comments?
Hey to Marky V and Namche and the rest of. Sorry, it's taking me ages.
Yeah.
To write this, but there we go. Hopefully you'll see that comment anyway.
Yeah, I think we should just say ship a lot. Ship. Let's see what that comes up as in the subtitles,
Well, hopefully you can translate that from Newport English into standard English.
Yeah. All right, Mark, what's happening? Glad you're safe or what? That's not unusual to hear that in Newport,
Tom Jones, I like it. New listener, Mike Hodgson. How you doing? New listener, new watcher as well. Hopefully you can see us.
Yeah.
But loving the stuff you do. Yeah, thanks, Mike. And Pratesh as well. It's great to see some, maybe some new Tuesday tuners joining us. Yeah, we've been doing this for the last few years now, about 3.5 years. We're almost up to about 170 of these lives. We hope you find it valuable. Yeah, today.
Yeah.
I know we've gone off on a few tangents already, but today we did want to focus on summits, and as it's getting close to Halloween, why not? Let's talk about some of the scary stuff out there, or can be perceived as scary.
Yeah.
Especially. Wow, Dave, that was.
Did I get you?
That actually did scare me.
Yeah. Well,
calm down. Yeah, mate. He's ghosted in there, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, mate,
and when it comes to this, he's like, he's put him off now.
Yeah, exactly.
But when it comes to summits, they can be perceived as scary. In a lot of different forms, and we all Dave dropped it in there. Knowledge dispels fear, but also just talking about it as well and educating yourself about some of the peaks, especially because we were in Tupkal recently. We were talking about Aconcagua this weekend with Sarah and Raz, who were doing Aconcagua with us in January, and it just came up, and we thought, let's talk about that on this live. Why not? It's a great subject. I know a lot of the trips that we do aren't summits. Obviously, we've got the big ones, like you got the Kilis, you got the Island Peaks, you got the Aconcaguas, amongst many others. And we have got a new one to talk about today as well, which we will come on to in a bit. So a new trip, which is, we're very, very, very excited about.
Very excited.
But where should we start then with the kind of the scary summits thing? Where do you reckon we should start? It was
what's the? I mean, it's a tricky one to kind of get around because there's so many different reasons why people might be scared climbing a peak. I think when you do a high altitude one, the number one fear is altitude.
Yeah.
About having some sort of serious sort of episode of AMS or anything like that. I guess we could start there with a general approach to altitude and why you should not necessarily be afraid of it. One of the things that James said, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
Listening to him talk about it because, he's so knowledgeable. And just as a little snippet, one of the things that he says is, that altitude sickness is really a collection of different symptoms. It could almost be called a syndrome of kinds. But one thing it doesn't do is you don't suddenly wake up with cerebral edema. And you're at the worst end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
It's a progressive problem. So if you are going on a peak or you're going to high altitude and you are worried about it, there's one golden rule, which is, you need to be communicative with your guide.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and we've spoken to people about this, who have not opened their mouth and said that they're struggling because they're worried that the first time you say you have a headache, they'll send you down. That's a fear. But it's actually further from the truth. Our guides are there to take you to your limit safely.
Yeah.
So a headache is nowhere near your limit. A little bit of nausea is nowhere near your limit. And almost certainly these things can be managed with hydration, maybe some Diamox, maybe pace management and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I think that he did a really good job of reassuring people, is that it's nothing to be afraid of. It's not going to strike you down like a bolt of lightning. It's going to be progressive and manageable.
Exactly. And it all starts from there, really. Like, just conversations that we chat on the weekend. We obviously talk about the big one, which is hydration. And Mike there just talking about, I've done EBC and Kili and found Kili altitude slightly easier than EBC, which is nuts, really, isn't it? Thinking
opposite.
The Kili's higher.
Yeah, I had the opposite.
And then we get people who have the opposites. And I think the important thing is, and we've talked about it before, is that every time you go to altitude is the first time, essentially, in terms of acclimatizing. Unless you've lived at an altitude tent for a month, it's hard to pre-acclimatize, up to that kind of level. But it goes to show that sometimes your body can be in a better place physically before you actually start a trek. And that can always kind of flip the effects. Certainly when, Mike was talking there, you've done EBC and Kili, and maybe that, which one did you do first, Mike? Was it EBC and then Kili afterwards? Because sometimes the first time around altitude can seem such a big thing mentally that it almost forces it to be harder. And then the next time you're altitude, because you know how to manage your body, it appears easier, even though you're going higher, and it's less scary because you've already been to altitude. I know conversations we've had over the last few weeks in Morocco, And in Morocco, literally every person on that trek had been to altitude at least once. Some of them 3 times already with us, and some of them are going on their kind of 5th or 6th trip with us, which is awesome. And you can see that even on Toubkal, they had their way of, okay, I know I'm going to drink my water. I'm going to eat this food, even if I don't, if I'm not feeling it, because, one of the symptoms at altitude is that, you lose your appetite. I do. On Toubkal, I hardly ate for a couple of days. I had a couple of boiled eggs in the morning, some snacks and some sweets. And yeah, it was, that was it. Like I just didn't want to eat. And yet other people were like nailing the food. And even, was it the summit at Toubkal? John was on it with.
Well, you had about 2 tins of
fish,
tinned like sardines or something,
which is nuts.
I had loads of. I see. That's the one thing I think I'm really lucky about is that I never feel that I never get a loss of appetite on any of the trips that I've done to high altitude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be wolfing down food. I always sit next to people that do suffer with appetite loss. So if I say, "You can eat that,"
no wonder why you sit next to me.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, Toubkal was amazing. It was actually that was one where actually if we're going to talk about like spooky. Yeah. Conquering ghosts of the past and things like that. That was one thing that I really took from it. And I've said it a few times now. Penny's scratching the door. And it's really quite distracting.
I'll leave it to her. Leave it to her. I know she's with
Lauren. Penny the Ever dog. So, I mean, I've so distracted.
She's distracted you, isn't she?
I tell you what.
Why do you let her in?
Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to come back to that subject.
It's fine. Dave loved a distraction. She's going to come in. Oh, she wants some food. Hello, girl.
Yeah, she's just come back.
Penny,
I'm thirsty.
She needs some grub.
Yeah, so
it's nice to have her on the live.
Yeah, you're right there, Penny. Getting a good drink. Yeah, she's drinking. She's thirsty.
Oh,
yeah. So the first I've been to Toubkal 3 times.
Yeah,
I've reached the summit twice. I've talked about it enough in the past about why I didn't get to the summit the first time. To run it up in a nutshell, it was basically I wasn't well before I left the UK, and then that just meant that I had to turn back. So actually, the first time I went there, it was Toubkal. I was just sick of it. I just wanted to go home.
Yeah,
I didn't have a good memory really of the whole experience, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, I've had an amazing time in Morocco," and I was always like, Yeah. And then the second time I went back, I was so focused on righting that wrong.
Yeah.
I was lasered in on the summit. I didn't care about anything else.
Well, so that made the difference for you.
It made it it means that I got to the summit. But what I didn't do was it was very intense, It was a lot of pressure that I put on myself to get
camping,
there.
Was it?
It not that time actually. Okay. That was yeah. But
resist.
But one thing I didn't do was take in my surroundings and have fun and enjoy myself as much as I normally do on a trip. So this trip, when I went back, I was like, you know what? I slayed those ghosts of the past. I thought
I was waiting for the link.
Yeah, I thought I've got no real pressure. I'm just going to go there. I'm going to enjoy my trip, and I performed the best I've ever done on that mountain.
Nice.
So it does go to show that, like, if you can keep a handle on the fear, and manage it, you actually perform better. Yeah. I was just free of mind the entire trip. I was just enjoying the fact that I was there. Like the times I've been to EBC and Kilimanjaro, It wasn't all about that achievement.
So it was essentially slaying your own ghosts.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I actually passed in the old days, I would have stayed on the mountain. So I actually passed the point. Old Dave was still lying there, frozen in the snow. Okay. So I passed him.
Is that like kind of Mario Kart? You used to play Mario Kart. Ghost kart. You used to try and beat.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Beat your own ghost.
There's one of them sat down in the snow, going, "I don't feel very well." So yeah, but it is about that sort of, if you can conquer the fear when you're on a peak, or at least manage the fear. It's healthy to have a certain degree of it, right? So
it protects you, doesn't it? I think fear is almost. There's a lot of books and stuff in personal development, and we've talked about it as well in terms of how to conquer your fear. But a bit of fear is good because it keeps you on your toes. I think also it's like self-preservation.
Yeah.
As Penny is walking around here, cool. It's self-preservation essentially that it's good to have a little bit because it can focus you on where what you're doing. So it's not necessarily a negative thing, or you don't have to see it as a negative thing. Now Penny is literally right behind us.
Sort of see her over there.
She's going to join in. She's relaxed there. That's fine. I did see some questions actually. I know not as we're talking about fear, but we're talking about altitude. Because I think it was Sean actually. Do the altitude masks you can get to train with work? I'll bring this one in because conversations come out on the weekend about this again with James, and at the altitude center, and we were talking about it, and we've got our own personal opinions on this, but we all came to the same conclusion, which was, well, firstly, all the people that sell those now have had to change it legally because they're not altitude masks. They're what they call respiratory training masks, where they limit the amount of air that can go in, which is very different to altitude. Essentially, when you're at altitude, you imagine you've got all these molecules of air at lower pressure because you're higher up. So opposite to say you go into the sea where the pressure increases, when you go up, it decreases. So all those molecules are spread out further apart. So when you are breathing in, imagine this amount, you are getting less oxygen. It's the same percentage in the air, but there's less molecules, so you're not getting as much.
Yeah.
So your body's got to work harder to get that oxygen around your body. And there's a few things that it does, triggers and tricks the body to do that. But altitude masks, the ones that you're talking about there, Sean, don't do that at all.
No.
And I used one probably 7 years ago, again, just to try out and I wanted my opinion. I used a couple of them, and it actually does improve your overall lung capacity, but which is a different thing, which is good for any, cardiovascular work. So in that way it can help, but not when it comes to altitude, because altitude really isn't just about fitness. It's around acclimatizing. And you can't do that with those masks.
Exactly, yeah. So the actual, if you go to the altitude center, you use any high altitude sort of simulation tents, masks and things like that, over time your body will physiologically react to that apparatus and will acclimatize. You'll get more red blood cells that carry more oxygen around your body. You can wear one of those other masks that you can buy on Amazon for months and months and months. You will never get more red blood cells. You will never be more acclimatized than you are at sea level. The only difference is, I guess, it could maybe strengthen your breathing and stuff like that, because you're going to be used to breathing a lot harder.
It's like a muscle, isn't it? You're exercising the muscle essentially.
But I've never known anyone that has been unable to go out there and train hard and think to myself, I physically can't train hard enough. I need to restrict my breathing. Just go out there and do some sort of, like proper sort of hill sprints. If you do hill sprints, you will definitely get more benefit than you will wearing one of those masks and doing regular exercise, So in my opinion, I don't really have much of I don't rate them really.
No, I'd steer clear. I think there's far better ways to get ready for your trek. And it's great though. I mean, honestly, Sean, don't let our answers feel like we're putting you down in that way. It's good to talk about this stuff, isn't it? And like I said, if it comes up in conversation and you're chatting to someone else, it's good to kind of to kind of tell other people about it. Because there's lots of opinions, and we're not saying that this is just our opinion. This is what we've seen work and not work in the community, and especially speaking to people like James at the Altitude Center, who come from it from the scientific point of view. It's really interesting, because for us, it's we know that if you turn up onto a trek in the best physical shape that you can be, and then drink enough water, go nice slow pace, approach it in a positive way in terms of, I'm going to enjoy this trip. It's going to be hard. It's a challenge, but I'm going to approach it in the right way. You can acclimatize really well, unless you've got a medical condition or something underlying, which can affect, people at altitude. But doing those simple things will make your trip a lot easier. There's nothing to do with none of that other stuff. So just getting the kind of basics done and ticked off. It's going to make it way less scary.
Nice. I think one of the other things, if we're going to talk about, just to segue into another thing that sort of gets people a little bit, gives them the heebie-jeebies.
Is it the internal boogeyman?
But particularly when we're talking about peaks, is sort of heights, exposure, and things like
some
that.
Of the dangers and
some of the actual.
This is
and it's a tricky one to actually overcome if you do have a fear of heights or a fear of. Because I know some fear of heights as well. It's strange. It's different for some people, isn't it? Like some people, they have a fear of heights, but they just don't like being up high. So they could be on top of a big building in the middle of it and panic. Other people will be fine, but they just don't like an exposed ledge that they're close to. Other people don't want to sort of, the idea of like crossing a ridge or something like that where they could trip or fall. It's a strange one to kind of overcome.
It is, isn't it? And we've had customers like Max, is a good friend of ours, who came to Toubkal. Now, Toubkal isn't like a razor sharp ridge or anything like that at all. But if we're talking about a summit, and Tukal's challenging one, 4,167 meters. He's a guy that used to be really scared of heights. Wouldn't go near an edge. Any edge with a bit of a drop off there, he'd really be suffering. His heart rate would go up. He'd start sweating. He'd literally be clinging into the inside of a wall to try and protect himself. As Penny's going for a walk. Oh, she heard the magic. Oh, she's looking at me now. I said the magic word.
Yeah.
She knows when things say like that. So there's many different things that can kind of come into effect. But knowing Max now, we took on Tukal and absolutely nailed it. Like, I'm not saying there's like steep drop-offs or anything, but at the top there, he was very, very comfortable. It's made a big difference.
Yeah.
He also done Everest Base Camp, and some of the, on the route from Namche all the way up to say Dingboche, there are some kind of drop-offs that you go to next to the river. And when you're going down to the river, is she distracting you again?
I'm trying to, on your bed, come on.
I know, she just wants to chill.
Lie down.
Let's see if Lauren could come in.
Lauren's got her headphones.
Oh, is she? Never mind. Okay. If needed, you might have to let her out. We good old Penny. She wants to go to look on her bed.
Relentless up and down.
Oh, poor Penny. She just wants to be heard, Dave. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There she goes. She's in there. She's comfortable
she
now.
wants me to herd her around the room is what she needs.
If she scratches the door, don't worry about it now.
Yeah, no.
She's comfortable in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it comes to heights and fears and that kind of stuff, it is something that you kind of got to bring into the equation. Like, yeah, Mike's talking there about the Branco wall. I know a few people that have really struggled with that because there's one bit, they call it kissing rock or hugging rock, and you've got to kind of stretch around this kind of rocky bit and step over. And quite frank, there's obviously a bit of exposure there.
Yeah,
it's very safe. Yeah, exactly. Everdog, oh bless her, I know. Yeah, Dave's struggling to forgive her right now.
Dave's only saying that because he's not having to get up every 2 minutes and let her in and out.
And then Jerome there, Hillary Bridge, terrible vertigo. Exactly. These are some of the challenges that are, as well as the actual physical challenge you're going to do.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes familiarity can almost try and help with those fears and all those things that you suffer with. I know that was with Max. Certainly the more times that he kind of threw himself into these kind of situations, he dealt with it, and then after time and time again, he got better at it. Just something that worked for him, and I know that doesn't work for everyone, but just something that may help you.
Yeah.
Is that the more you do of something, you're going to expand that zone of safety, that zone of comfort that you have on these mountains. And I know on the peaks, certainly going from like people that go to Everest Base Camp for the first time, Dave, and people that go to Killy for the first time, and then they get that urge to want to go higher.
Yeah.
And then they're thinking about the Mera Peaks, the island peaks, maybe even like Lobuche, which we had our first summit on Lobuche yesterday.
Alex, congratulations.
Yeah, huge congrats, which was absolutely amazing. Another first for our Ivor trackers, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, amazing. And yeah, I mean, it is one of them. I think altitude is almost addictive, and it's but people say altitude's addictive. I'm not sure people get addicted to the actual altitude. It's the regions of the world which are at high altitude are so intoxicating because they're unlike anything that we kind of see or experience in our day-to-day life. And if you go to those places and you experience it and you loved it, you come back and there's almost no substitute. So you do get that urge to go back, and then you want more of that. So that's where the addictive side comes in, and you think, I want to go higher. I want to see more. I want to see that same view, but from 1,000 meters up. And exactly. I think then you start getting like Island Peak, with the ladder crossings and the exposure and things like that. But one thing I think makes a massive big difference to this is practice. And there's lots you can do in the UK on relatively safe terrain, or even you can use guided people. And it's just little things you can do, like just do a little bit of gentle scrambling here and there. And if you do a little bit of scrambling in the UK, Barranco Wall's no problem for you.
Yeah, no problem at all.
And there's one route that you took me on. I'd never been up Cader Idris before. We went up there.
Oh, you love that, didn't you? Yeah.
It was so much fun. So we went up the Miniford.
The Miniford Pass.
Miniford Pass, which is just Stepageddon. And ordinarily that takes you up these steps. you go into a bit of a flat section and you've got the lake to your right. And normally the route then goes up on a ridge to your left and goes all the way around, one peak, then down and up. Well, Andy, being Andy, is like, yeah, we're not going the normal way. I'm so glad, actually, because I wouldn't have enjoyed that. We went down to the lake, around the lake, and then there's this awesome scramble just up
scree slope, isn't it?
It's like scree and scrambly and rocky and some tight squeezes, but relatively safe. If you slipped, you're not going to fall,
exactly
100 feet or anything. You're just going to slip a little bit. And doing things like that, really, really good for you. You know? And then like the CMD route on Ben Nevis, you'd be hard pressed to fall off it. It's not like Crib Cork.
No.
And things like that, really make it feel, really, much more comfortable.
Exactly, because I think we found this out a little bit on Toubkal as well, is that, if you go in the summer months compared to the winter months, there's no snow on top. It's a lot of it is scree. Some of it, especially on the way down, is quite slippery because you've got these small little rocks and almost like marbles and you're slipping. And even I slipped, everyone slips. And it was, definitely up there. It was kind of like, it's good to have practice using your hands a little bit, when doing a little bit of scrambling. We talk about familiarity and the more you do something means you don't have to think about it. We were doing a little equipment talk on the training weekend on Sunday morning, and talking about familiarity, especially more on like crampons and ice and snow, because some people are asking about that, especially to do with some of the peaks. Can I just turn up and put crampons on and get to the summit of Island Peak, for example? And one thing we said that is that, the more that you do spend time on snow, on crampons, using ice axe, it's like anything that you can do in your life. The more you practice with it, you're not going to think about it all the time. It's like any skiers or mountain bikers out there. When you first learn to ski or when you first learn to mountain bike, you're thinking about everything. You're thinking about everything you do because, one, you're scared of crashing or falling over, because you're not quite as comfortable yet. But as time goes on, you don't have to think about certain things. It becomes natural. Your body knows what it's doing. It's like muscle memory. And I think that's the same with anything, whether you're going scrambling, whether you're on ice axes, that would be challenging. Whether you're on crampons with ice axe on snow or a high altitude, familiarity means that you're going to enjoy it a lot more.
100%. That's it. I mean, practice makes perfect, but the biggest thing practice does, I think, for the mind is that it does dispel fear and gives you confidence in your own ability. This is why training is so important. You don't have to be super fit to do a lot of these trips, but the fitter you are, the less anxiety you have, the less you exert yourself, the less prone you are to certain injuries, altitude sickness. It's more than just being fit and finding it easy. That's just the base of it. There's so much more benefit from doing the training that gives you confidence in the mind, in the body. So it's great.
Just a couple of comments. I see Pritesh there. Every time I visit Ogwen Valley, I feel like I'm heading to Mordor. Brilliant. I'll tell some of our mountain guides just said that. They live but they're probably thinking like, yep, you're right.
Stuart Taylor said, so you want to climb Triffin, but hear so many stories of the wrong routes. Honestly, a lot of research you can do, but there's so many amazing guides up in the Ogwen Valley, Snowdonia National Park, all of that area, that I would just get them to take you up there. Yeah,
exactly. I know it's a little bit of an additional expense, but like anything, if you've got someone that knows the routes, that can take you the safe routes, especially knowing the kind of different levels as well, because I think, see you later, Sean. I think one very important thing is that we're all on different journeys. It's not a competition. Whether you're a beginner or whether you're someone that's, been spending a lot of time scrambling and climbing the mountains, it's always good to have a guide. It's always good to find these new routes. And it can be really, really helpful. And Michael Perryman there. Sorry, hey Michael, how you doing? I hope all is well. Anything scary on Island Peak? Really good question.
Yetis.
You've got to avoid them first to get away from the Yetis.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Other than that, though, Island Peak, it is. I think you have to approach it 6,000 meter Himalayan peak. It is a trekking peak. Means that you can essentially class as trekking to the summit, but in truth, there is a section about 110 meters where you are on fixed ropes, and it is essentially snow and ice that you have crampons on, and ice steps are cut in before you get to the top. That is kind of one of the, I'd say probably the most scary parts. And then once you're on the summit ridge, you then, which is it's relatively wide, but you're then going towards the summit, and then obviously you return back. So yeah, I'd say definitely need to be comfortable with heights on Island Peak, but knowing the kind of type of Evertrekkers that have been and done, say, Everest Base Camp or Kili, and then kind of gone on to do that, it's more than achievable, again, with the right training and familiarizing yourself with the things that you do.
Yeah,
definitely.
Exactly. Mike has said, good advice. Is there any scrambling on Toubkal? Not really. Like there's a couple of occasions where you might use your hands just to get over some rocks and stuff like that, but nothing that I would term sort of scrambling or technical scrambling.
Yeah.
Almost all the time you'll be feet on the ground.
Yeah.
And upright. The only time it's difficult, I actually find it a tougher climb in the summer months than it is in the winter.
Yeah.
That's benefited because I don't so much mind the cold weather, but I'd much rather walk on with crampons over slippery terrain than I would boots on like marbles.
Yeah.
And Toubkal is very rocky, and one of the challenges is how slippery it is. Having said that, the main route that we went down this time was not as bad as the time I went down in December. Remember I showed you that?
Yeah, that was, I think.
We had to avoid ice, which was the problem. So it was the lesser of two evils. But when you look at how steep it is, and it's just on pure scree, it was as close to skiing as I've ever been in my hiking boots. It was it was fascinating. Diane's
here as well. Hey Diane, how you doing? I hope all is well. She's teaching and watching the Tuesday Tuner, mate. That is brilliant. Whilst I'm just gonna budge in a little bit because I know we're about halfway through the live today. Hey Charlie, have a good one. Thanks for being here.
Awesome.
Is that we have got a new trip. Especially because we were talking about spooky summits. We thought it's a really, really good idea to, especially after Toubkal, because on Toubkal, the Souksta summit trip was kind of a private trip. Every year, myself and Dave are going to be doing one trip.
A dandy trip.
Dandy.
It's his nickname. The code name in the office is a dandy trip.
If they're talking, yes, I'm like, okay, I can live with that. And essentially, it was absolutely fantastic. It was nice to kind of go on a trip with Evertrekkers and see everyone's summit, and we always like to change it up a little bit and have a bit of fun. A little bit of singing, a little bit of dancing. It was really, really good, and some great Evertrekkers. So we're looking ahead now to next year, and we've had this place in mind. We went there to this place in April to kind of scope it out, and we were actually invited by the local government in this place to kind of essentially look at bringing customers there, because it's a relatively quiet area, and that's in Italy. So there's a little national park called Gran Paradiso National Park. It was actually
Paradiso.
I know
Sean Connery's been there, I think.
But it was the first national park of Italy, and it's very famous. But it's very new to the kind of climbing world, if you say, and trekking world. So we've put an awesome itinerary there that we're going to be doing next year. Now there will be a trip with myself and Dave. There will be dates without us as well.
Just in case they don't want to.
Just in case you don't fancy us. You've had enough of us on this.
Sick of you guys on the Tuesday tuning.
Exactly. So yeah, whoever's just thinking, if Dill is on there, if you can go to the website and grab the actual itinerary link. If not, though, I will bring it up anyway.
Seamless
as always.
But super excited about this one. The Gran Paradiso National Park. Like I said, one of the oldest national parks in Europe as well, and largely unspoiled. Because it doesn't attract or hasn't historically attracted huge numbers. It's a bit of a climber's paradise. There's lots of ice climbing and stuff like that. But what Gran Paradiso National Park does have, which we're excited about, is a mountain.
It's a wonderful mountain above 4,000 meters
called
Gran Paradiso.
Exactly. And it is the highest mountain that sits solely within Italy's borders. It's not shared with any other country. It's Italy's own highest peak. It's a fabulous climb. Really, you should check it out. It's super beautiful. But Peaks passes Paradise.
Paradiso.
Peaks passes Paradiso.
Every single time we said it, it went right.
It went right until the one on the line. All morning
all
we've
good.
been Peaks, Passes, and Paradiso.
And you said it was your favourite name.
It is. It's my favourite name. Andy's a genius when it comes to these trekking names. Pretty much every name on every trip on the website comes from his brain.
So I don't always get it right. But no, Peaks, Passes, and Paradiso. It's and Paradiso Italian for paradise. And it really is. Yeah, Gran Paradiso Summit is a challenge. It is on a glacier, so there will be crampons. It's not technical. It is a trekking peak, but we're actually there. It is hut to hut as well, so we'll be staying in huts for about 4 or 5 nights and summiting Gran Paradiso. It's a week trip, so it's a 1 week trip, 7 days. The dates are next July into August, so I think it's July the 26th.
Yeah, someone just said there's no dates and prices on there.
There should be.
There definitely is.
Yeah, you've got
July 26th to August 2nd.
Yeah, that's it. That's the date. Yeah, double check. It might be worth if you're on your phone. I'm just trying to think now how you reset it. But on your desktop, if you put Shift F5, or if you're using a Mac, I think it's something else. Control F5. It should reset it for you. But yeah, essentially, it's a fantastic trip. We're also doing one that's obviously not with us, that does have a couple more dates as well. But that one is something we're doing next year. And I think it's 2,495 a person doing that. So definitely get yourself in. If you fancy coming along with us, we'd love to have you on that trip.
Yeah, awesome. I love some of the comments. So Jerome's in. Lee Wyatt, I love that, you son of a. You know what?
I can see that. Yeah,
there's an awesome meme where it's like me does nothing, my dog, you crazy. I'm in. And who else? Lee Wyatt, when are you going to venture to Banff and Canada, and would be an amazing.
We'd love to. We as with anything, like you can imagine, this was in April. We were out there and we wanted to put this itinerary together. And also as well, we wanted to make sure that it fits, and it works, and obviously the price works as well for you guys. So we've obviously been negotiating in Italy to try and get this as achievable as possible. And this was one we think it's going to be a great trip. Really is. It's a wonderful place to trek, especially staying in the refugios, basically Italian refuges, but they're like really nice lodges. Yeah. Some of them more basic than others. But yeah, and climbing Gran Paradiso, so you'll be getting another 4,000 meter peak in the Alps, in Italian Alps.
4,065, something along those lines.
It's just over, yeah. It's the highest mountain only in Italy, which is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, have a little look. Any messages, any comments, any messages around it, drop in the comments, or drop us an email. We'd love to see you on that. It has only got 10 spaces. So it is quite limited with this one. Obviously, there's only one date that we're doing with me and Dave. And I know we've obviously got some interest from people who were on the previous trek with us to Tubcal. So if you are interested, definitely get yourself in there. Be great to have you on board.
Yeah, it'll be amazing. I mean, honestly, if the Tubcal trip that we've just done is anything like it, I don't want to speak for everybody who was on there, but I'm comfortable to say that an amazing time was had by all.
It was.
I saw Kate was on here, so Kate, back me up here. Kate did awesomely. She was the only girl on a trip of about 14 people and brought a little touch of class to the proceedings. I think needed. And actually put up with us in a tent quite well. I think
yes, definitely.
But no, it was an amazing time. Honestly, it's great because we do the training weekends and we really love to do those and trek with people. Yeah. But there's something different about traveling with people and experiencing something for the first time with our customers. Apparently there's some maniac called Zachariah Gidney from Springlands.
Of course he's here. He's just summited Killy, one of our Yetis. Well, two of our Yetis, Zach and Jody. I've just summited Killy. They summited Dave for yesterday.
Yeah, Zach said it was one of the easiest things he's actually ever done, and he actually wants to go back and do it again in a couple of months. I haven't heard much from Jody, so I'm assuming she loved it so much she stayed on the summit or is in the pool right now.
In the pool, I guarantee.
But awesome, yeah. Well done to the Yetis, for doing that. Kate, Kate said it was awesome. See, you transfer with that fiver. But we had a wonderful time, and honestly, Gran Paradiso.
Yeah.
We went out there and we did the trip. We lucky enough to be welcomed by the president of the national park and we got to meet the rangers. It was quite an intense week of traveling around every valley.
A lot of cheese.
My God, the food was unbelievably
It was good.
I mean, I don't know what my cholesterol was by the time I came back, but it would have been high.
It was high. Mike says your Scotland Winter Skills sold out in January. Yeah, Mike, we literally in the last week sold out on that. Actually, I think Kate was one of the last to book onto that because we had 15 spaces. We've been in touch. Essentially, we can't put too many on there because we've got to check about the accommodation. We will have another date in February.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally a matter of days before we'll be putting it on there. Yeah, if you're doing any peaks, obviously the training weekend that we do twice a year here in Wales is great, but any time that you're on snow and crampons is great, and I highly recommend the Winter Skills. I definitely get booked in on that. There's a lot of we've got a bit of a waiting list already for that second date. Yeah, so Mike, we can put you on there, mate. I'll make a note.
Yeah, awesome.
As well.
Just to touch back as well, because obviously we don't do the peaks like Triffin and Cadaridris, sadly. But I can give you a really solid recommendation from Smurf, who does our winter skills training and runs our Brecon weekend training. If you get in contact with him at Hikes and Bikes Snowdonia, he'll hook you up with some awesome guiding experiences. Yeah,
exactly. So what we'll step away from Grand Paradiso then. We'll obviously it is there. Love to have you on that trip. We'll be putting the other dates on there as well for you. But yeah, definitely jump on the website, have a little read, see if it's kind of thing for you. It's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
But going back onto the other peaks then, I know because we talked about Tubcal a lot, talked about Island Peak. We haven't really talked about Aconcagua, Chimborazo, Valecitos, Mera, and also as well, and something that we are still taking bookings for is the Uganda gorilla trip. This is something we created and launched a couple of months ago. Which has been great. But unfortunately, there was some terrorist activity out there in the last couple of weeks. So we've kind of paused on that. Now, obviously, this kind of stuff comes and goes, hopefully. But that is another trip that we'd love to do, over the next couple of years. The dates are still on there for next year and 2025. So if you do get booked in on the Uganda trip, which is a peak as well, Mount Margarita, a little bit of an Italian kind of, I'd say link.
Beautifully segued.
I know, I had to do it. And it is a wonderful trip as well because you get to see the mountain gorillas. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'd be remiss about talking about that. And obviously very, very sad circumstances out there. But, we know that there are certain parts of the world that, are a little bit different to, say, you go into Nepal. Like we do have some trips in Pakistan. We do have some trips, some of them in South America that, it can be a little bit dodgy in terms of the area you're going to, but we always try and make it as safe as we can, especially on guided trips. And that is going to be our priority with Uganda as well. So, just to give you a little bit of confidence in terms of the operator out there, they've been doing it for best part of like 14, 15 years.
Yeah, no, really good.
And Dave Baluku, who kind of is our guide over there, he's absolutely fantastic. And has been, essentially our kind of head of ops out there, has given us a lot of confidence. But, we always like to support places rather than kind of just leave it fend for itself. And I think Uganda, we're definitely going to be doing some good trips out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Aconcagua, it's
tiny.
Tiny. Yeah. Not quite. Dave Rimington, though, he looks like he's raring to go.
Yeah, no, highest mountain outside the Himalaya.
Yeah.
Annoyingly just shy of 7,000 meters.
I know, we need to take a ladder.
Yeah, something needs to be done about that.
Yeah.
But absolutely amazing trip. Actually, one that we're looking to do next January.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
I
know we were chatting with some of the Evertrekkers this weekend.
Yeah.
Sarah and Raz were booked on that January date. I say myself and Dave are on there. So anyone that did want to go on that, have a look on that date. It's still availability. It's not far away now, and I appreciate it's short notice, but there are still some dates, some spaces on that date with me and Dave. And it isn't like a private one. We've chosen to go on this one.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different to the Grand Paradiso. But yeah, definitely get yourself on there because Aconcagua is a different kettle of fish if we're talking about, Mera Peak, Island Peak. It is hard. It is a proper expedition in terms of, it's high. It's also quite windy. It's a brutal place, and if you can get that ticked off your list, that's a real I mean, that's a huge tick off the bucket list, that one.
It's definitely not one that you can sort of just rock up to on a whim. You're going to want to dedicate some training to it, a lot of knowledge. There's going to be some hefty expense in terms of the equipment that you're going to need to bring as well. Because you're not going to be able to go there with just standard B2 boots. You're going to need proper B3 double layer boots. You're getting close to the sort of gear that you need on 8,000 meter peaks. I would say, it's one of those things you're going to have to take very seriously. Having said that, what an amazing achievement. One of the 7 summits, the highest mountain outside the Himalaya. We have actually designed quite a unique itinerary. So a lot of companies, when they do Aconcagua, they tend to just go straight to Aconcagua, do their acclimatization hikes on Aconcagua. So you're going up and down, and then to the summit. We actually go to a neighboring range called the Velocitos range, where you'll be doing your acclimatization hikes on different peaks. So it's going to have a varied itinerary. It's going to be fun. You're going to get a couple of other 6,000 meter peaks in there along the way, and then we're going to arrive at Aconcagua and sort of get up and down as quickly as we can and as safely as we can. Really excited about this the trip that we've put together, because I do think it stands alone as one of the good ones.
Absolutely, it's always it's a bit of an epic, really. And hopefully we'll be doing some more of the peaks similar to this, but it is kind of the high end in terms of challenge. If we're talking difficulty levels here, it's certainly up there. With some of the other kind of near 7,000 meter peaks in the Himalayas, like Himlong. It's definitely Stuart Taylor. Stop it! I'm drooling. Sorry, mate. Sorry. Hey, dates on the website. Have a look. Anything you need. Any questions about it, let us know. But in terms of questions, Dave, I've seen, because there's been a few questions coming on. I know we've got about 10 minutes or so. I'll jump back, because any questions as well about any of this, do drop them in, so we can get them answered for you. Where is this question? Set up on Thursday.
I'm just looking
Andy,
now.
We are getting there.
Is it this one?
New listener. Yes.
So
why not?
This is the one where we're kind of we're like
a legal high. Sorry,
this is one of the times where we we never let professionalism get in the way of a good show.
Here we go.
We've got these. Dylan's like, I've been sending them to you on WhatsApp.
I know. We got your questions.
Yeah. So Michael Perryman said that. So about the winter skills one that's being sold out. We mentioned that we're sort of working on potentially adding another date.
Yeah, we are.
So hopefully, that's going to be a case. Dave Hampson has said, any chance of adding Mont Blanc summit in the future?
Oh, mate, we'd love to. Honestly, we've spent so long with quite a few different teams, but they're not quite there yet. It's frustrating, because obviously, as you can imagine, we'd love to. We know there's loads of Evertrekkers that want to do it, but the actual teams we got out there, I'd say, are not quite up to where we want them yet. Not long, mate. Not long. If you're waiting into the beginning of next year, we'll highly likely have an itinerary for that that has been kind of tested, and we know that the safety is good.
Potentially, we could even do, because a lot of itineraries use Gran Paradiso.
They do,
as a kind of prelude to
a build up to
Mont Blanc, because it's only just through the tunnel from where we are. It's about 2 hours then to Chamonix and stuff like that. So definitely something that excites us. The idea of doing Mont Blanc is one of the all-time sort of iconic alpine peaks, isn't it? So
it's a big. I know what you mean, though. It is a feather in the cap, and I think the one thing, I chatted about it on the weekend. We don't want to just do it for the ticks. We want to do it for the experience as well, and we want to make sure the experience is good. Because we could put something together and go and summit Mont Blanc, and that's fine. But we also want to make the surrounding bits just as good, because you don't need to be there that long, really. You could probably do it in a long weekend once you're acclimatized. But we just want to make sure that we've kind of got it kind of nailed down.
Maybe combine it with some skiing,
Oh, that'd be good.
There's that famous run in Chamonix that I can't remember the name of, but there's a world famous ski run.
Oh, I forgot.
And you apparently it's like it should be on the bucket list of any skier. I think it's all off piste.
It is,
and I'm used to the most groomed pistes known. I
was going to say it's
so maybe in 20 years I'll be ready to do it.
Rob's question is really good. What is a good insurance company for altitude? Good question, Rob. Hopefully it's still on. I know it was one of the earlier questions, and apologies, it's taken us a little bit of time to get there. But so when it comes to altitude insurance, there are some kind of companies that we recommend that to our Evertrekkers. We've used ourselves, and a lot of our Evertrekkers use. You've got True Traveller Insurance. Highly recommend them. Tim, he's their CEO, really nice guy.
Yep.
And he's essentially, they used to be a travel company themselves, and they went into insurance. And
he understands the biz, doesn't he?
Yeah, he definitely does, especially in some of the more challenging parts of the world. But I suppose the one thing I like about True Traveller is very easy. You go onto the website, you put in Everest Base Camp insurance, it's got an insurance specifically for that.
Yeah.
So it's very good products like that. If we're chatting about this on weekend. If you're say 50 or over, I'd say because of the premiums with True Traveller, probably Campbell Irvine or Big Cat are probably the other two I would go for. Just because I think they're underwritten by AXA. They cover helicopter evacuation, everything like that. So those are the kind of big three. There is an article we put together with those exact companies on the website. If you go to the Knowledge Center, Dylan, I think if you can pop the link to that article, that would be awesome.
That'd be magic.
Just for the insurance. And Rob, hopefully that helps, mate.
Loza has said hi from Goa.
Hey.
Her picture looks tiny, but it doesn't look like she's in Goa on a little picture. It's like the opposite.
Hey, Loza, how you doing?
Yeah, I want to travel more around India. I've never actually been there, aside from staying in the airport for a while. Does landing at an airport count as I visited India?
See, there's different...
I didn't go through immigration, you see. So officially, I don't think I have entered India.
But
I've been on the ground in India, so...
It's hard, isn't it? Because I always think you can go to a place, but do you really know the place?
This is a question, actually. Yeah. Maybe I can put it to you and the guys. So I haven't used it yet. I was going to put it next to my desk. One of those scratch maps, right, where you scratch off a country when you visited it. If you stop at the airport and you don't leave immigration... So I'm going to scratch off Qatar because I've gone through Qatar, I've gone a taxi and I've left the airport and stayed there. Yeah. So although I haven't really experienced it, I have been into Qatar.
Yeah.
Does New Delhi count because I've landed in the airport, but I didn't leave the airport? Can I scratch?
I think it's up to you. It's whatever it is for you. Technically, you've been there.
Yeah.
But, you could question whether you've really experienced the area.
I definitely haven't experienced India. It's a big old place and I haven't left the airport.
But I think it's up to you.
But in terms of the scratch map, is that cheating?
It's up to you. If you could look at that wall and think, I've been to that place, I've experienced it.
In my heart of hearts, I don't think I can.
Then there's your answer.
Yeah. I just wonder what other people say. Charlotte says it doesn't count.
Here we go, see?
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? No, I'm like that as well. You can go to places and tick them off and definitely cheating. There we go. Cheater, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm getting I never said I would do it. I'm just putting the question out there.
But it's brilliant though, because this is what traveling's about, isn't it? You go to a place and you experience it and you get to walk around and I'll see you, Keita. Hope all is well. But yeah, that's why we go to these places. That's why we trek to places in Nepal and like Peru or Argentina or Morocco. You're learning about the cultures there and the area.
I feel like I'm getting shouted at now.
Why?
Well, everyone's saying, no, Dave, and I'm like, no, hang on now.
It's all good.
I didn't say
keep it coming.
I didn't say that was my opinion. I'm simply saying, because I've been to the airport, can I scratch the entire Indian country off my map?
But you know what? Even this conversation gives you the idea that you have to go now and explore.
No, I know.
Darjeeling.
There is so... Yeah.
Remember Raz on the weekend?
Funny enough, I used to work with an Indian guy, and he was from, I think it's called Gujarat. Yeah, but in my memory, he said Gujarat.
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe that's my pronunciation.
And I said to him, like, oh, what's that like? And he described it as like Wales is India's Wales.
Oh, wow.
Is how he described it. So I've always wanted to go there. And
like rugby,
because he was telling me about Gujarati cuisine and certain things that they have.
Nice.
These little like sweets that they have. I can't remember the name of them.
Paul Shearer. Hey, Paul, how you doing? I hope all is well. Nice to see you on here. Mont Blanc would be awesome to trek. Yeah, exactly. Tour de Mont Blanc. Highly recommend it, Paul. Absolutely fantastic trip. We do have some availability next year, by the way.
Yeah, go on Jerome's trip. He's going.
Hey, Jerome. Jerome mentioned about Big Cat as well. That's weird, Jerome, isn't it? I know some insurance companies they shouldn't be, but they are a bit funny with age. There are some insurance companies out there. They might be kind of some of the random ones that the premiums are a bit less. You know, as you do get a bit older.
So just Pritesh, can you just confirm, was it Andy's pronunciation or mine that was correct for that?
It's probably yours, but you
But well, I have a memory of the guy telling me,
so it's probably right then.
But
because I'm just
the longer time
I'm
goes
just
on, the
reading
less reliable.
Wales is the best bit of the UK. Oh, thanks, Gav.
Yeah.
It's there's so many beautiful places in the UK. Yeah, Wales is one of them.
Yeah.
But we're so fortunate, aren't we, to have some amazing places. Did the Tour de Mont Blanc. Love to go to the summit. Here we go.
There we are. See, got it.
I'll let you have that one.
Yeah.
Well, look, coming towards the end of this now. Great to be back today. You know, just to kind of round off what we're talking about, spooky summits, and we hope that we haven't scared you with some of this talk about summits. But it's really just to have a conversation around it, and also, as Dave said, you know, kind of eradicating those old ghosts of failure, learning on it, the reflection of not succeeding. You know, that is very, very important. Also, as well, around, you know, educating yourself around these trips and seeing if they're for you. You know, if you are afraid of heights or something, is Merah Peak probably better for you than Island Peak, for instance? You know, or, you know, if you're looking to kind of get that kind of sense of altitude, you know, first, is it good doing Toubkal or even Gran Paradiso before you go on and do one of the 6,000ers? You know, so really good sort of questions. Thanks for all your comments. I mean, Dave, any final thoughts from you, mate?
No, that's it. I mean, my final thoughts, I think, are about the Paradiso trek. It would be just because I'm hot off the press of doing Toubkal on a dandy trip, and they're actually probably my favorite part now that we do.
I realize I'm going to get shouted at if I don't mention it, but yeah, with that particular trip as well, there is a kind of a limited time for basically we got this little discount called PIF 400. What that means is if you do book on a trip and you want to just get it paid, put in PIF 400, you actually get £400 off that trip. And actually, as some of the other ones as well, it's basically any trip over £1,600 if you use that code. But obviously, it is for full payments. So definitely, if you want to do that over the next kind of several days, PIF 400. I just wanted to throw that out there. I knew I'd forget.
Marketing team are now happy with us.
Is that what it is? Before we leave, I just wanted to throw that out there. And if you are keen to come on the trip with us next year, we'd love to see you there. Drop us an email. Be great to chat. Obviously, you can book on via the website, and we'll see your name on the manifest, which is great. Be nice to see some familiar faces. But yeah, thanks, Dave. It's great to be back.
Good to do another Tuesday tune in. Like I said, we missed the last one. I got to say, sorry, that was my bad last week.
You a bit rough last week, you bro?
Yeah, not in tip-top condition, but now I'm a good 70% fixed. So I only need 50 for a Tuesday tune in.
Okay.
But no, it's been great. Next week you're away.
I am.
But I'm hopefully going to be, they don't know this yet, and actually Zach might be finding out. But I want to get Zach and Jody on to talk about their experience on Killy. Zach's been to a high altitude before, Jody hasn't, but it's the highest Zach's ever been by, well over by about 1,500 meters. So really keen to get their experiences and get a good chat going about Kilimanjaro next week and get those guys to do it. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Or have a wonderful week and weekend, whatever you got planned. Anything you need, as always, reach out to us and the team. And obviously you've got Dave and some of the rest of the Yetis next week, but I'll be back obviously the week after.
Yeah.
But I'll catch you soon.
Take it easy, guys. Bye.
Bye.